All right, good day, everybody who is watching. Welcome back to this channel and welcome back to this weekly discussion on um, progressing nations or global south nations during the pandemic of COVID-19. Well, we are back here with these four amazing people. We got Julio, we got Zahran, we got Tono, and we got Hussein. Say hi, everybody.
Hello guys.
Guys, hola,
All right.
Guys,
bueno.
hello.
Okay, so just like last week, we're gonna do the same mechanism. We're going for the same theme here. We're discussing. We're representing a nation. Each of us. We're representing a country from a certain region. And this week's region, we are focusing on South America, which you can tell by the flags on our background, except for Hussein. It's okay. Um, could you guys please tell which country that you're representing, starting from Jewel?
So my focus country is Argentina right now. So for this week, yeah.
Nice, nice. Zahran, what about you?
I have Peru.
Hussein, how about you? What's your country?
Country is Venezuela.
Ah, I see. All right, nice, nice. Ton, what about your country, dude?
I choose Brazil as my country.
Nice. All right. And for me myself, I decided to go with Chile, and it's very interesting what I've actually found, and we're going to discuss it later on. So, to everyone watching, we're going to go into this discussion. Let me go over it a bit. We're going to go through three questions this week that we have compiled, and we think is the most general and most good questions to ask to discuss on this matter for global South countries within the South American region. So let's get on to it. We've already introduced ourselves and the current countries. Let's start with the first question, which is, how has your country been affected by COVID-19? You can explain this from any aspect that you want, whether it be social aspect or political aspect or economic aspect. You can explain however you want. Just explain how your country was hit by COVID-19 and how it's handling it. Would anyone like to start first? Maybe Jewel?
Okay. I will start first. So for Argentina itself, I would like to talk more about the effects to our economy. So the economic in Argentina, and they had this protest. So the um, the community had this protest against poverty and unemployment due to the economic crisis there, and the crisis is um, further exacerbated by the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. So these protests took place not just in one place, but in several cities in Argentina. And if we see the previous year or last year, they in Latin America, the economic was in crisis too. So we all know that, and the pandemic has worsened Argentina's economic situation, sorry, which was already experiencing difficulties. So as many as 42% of Argentina's 19 million people live below the poverty line, and the unemployment rate stands at 10.2%. But the president of Argentina, so the Fernandez, his guarantees that Argentina will soon get out of the economic crisis. In addition, job opportunities also will be wide open, and people's income will increase again in the future. So that what information what I get. Thank you.
All right, nice. Thank you, Julia, for the information. That is really interesting as well. And Zahran, I would like to move on to you. How has your country been hit by COVID-19, and how is it going?
Uh, okay. In Peru, COVID-19 virus were increased significantly across in this country, which is high result of hospitalized patients and also the patients. So in Peru, there were about 19. Sorry, so I'm so sorry. There were 90% of total that people cause of COVID-19 in Peru. So and also Peru were considered as the second worst, the second of worst of the COVID-19 pandemic than other country. So I think I think that's all that information I can get from the article.
All right, nice. Thank you, Zahan. Yeah, it's also a bit, how do you say, sad that most countries are also like, suffering a lot, like seeing how Peru is also the second worst being affected by COVID-19. Well, hopefully, they'll recover well as well. Hussein, how about you, buddy? How's your country doing? How did your country get affected?
Mm, okay, Nay. I want to talk about Venezuela's economy. I think in Venezuela already in 7 before the pandemic, uh, has continued to collapse. The minimum wage in the country amounts to about 4 US dollar a month. The monthly inflation rate remains above 2,000%, while the EMF estimate the annual inflation rate of that in 2020 is 15%, 1,500%. And years of economic decline and political turmoil in Venezuela have led to a fragile state and culminated in a democratic and humanitarian crisis, where an estimated 7 million people are in need of aid.
Well, okay, that is insane how a country is actually able to go through that kind of economic hit, and I'm really interested to see how that country is going to recover from that. Ton, if you don't mind, I'll go first before you do, because Chile has actually been Chile went through something before the pandemic hit. In the end of 2019, the president of Chile at the time, which until now is still Sebastian Pinera, did a very, I guess you can say, unfaithful thing towards the people of Chile. Chile had a territory dispute over waters with the Peruvians, and uh, the president, which is Sebastian Pinera, has been criticized for not listening to the needs of the people of Chile. This caused to have like millions of people going on riots in the end of 2019. And that in itself is already a political crisis before COVID-19 itself. When 2020 went in and the coronavirus also went in, not only the political side was affected, not only the social side was affected, but Chile's economy was affected greatly. Chile's economy growth contracted by 6% during 2020. However, it is projected to grow 5% for the annual time this year in 2021, which is good. And exports and imports have shrunken since there is very low demand for things in Chile and outside as well. And unemployment rose like a sharp edge in the first quarter of 2020, which is insane. It's most of what other countries have experienced as well, such as Indonesia itself. But adding that, there has been social crises and political crises with President Sebastian's, unfaithful actions and protests of millions of people. We can really say that Chile was actually in a state of multidimensional crisis during 2020 in the early years. However, the government is actually helping to support households and businesses through direct cash helps, like how Indonesia is doing through BLT or Bantuan Tunai Langsung, which is great. But yeah, that's the overall situation in Chile right now. How about you, Ton? How's Brazil doing?
Brazil has gone into a bad economic situations. So the COVID-19 pandemic has caused human suffering and triggered a deep recession in Brazil. Economic policies reacted in a timely and decisive manner to the crisis, supporting millions of Brazilians. But a strong and inclusive recovery from the recession will require long-lasting improvements in economic policies. Improving fiscal outcomes remains one of Brazil's principal challenges, given a high debt burden to which the pandemic has added significantly. Maybe that's all that I can explain about the economic situations in Brazil.
All right. Thank you, Ton, for that. Okay, so we've gone through the first question. We've gone through over the overview of how each of our country is doing within the South American region, and we can say that nearly all of the countries we've suffered a lot as well. But I guess during 2021 we've also actually risen in a way. I hopefully so. So we'll start to enter with question two. We'll go into the discussion, and remembering that our topic and our subject is diplomacy here. I would also love to hear some aspects of how diplomacy might have helped each of our countries within recovering, maybe vaccine diplomacies or para diplomacy. If you guys have any information such as that, please right away put it into the discussion. We'll start to go to question two, which is how did your country do during the distribution of the COVID-19 vaccines? So we know that COVID-19 vaccines are the one of the core elements of actually for the entire world to survive this pandemic right now, in many aspects as well. It'll help the country's economy, the political issue, the social issue, and to change the society of the world as a whole to go back to normal, right? So how did your country do while actually distributing these vaccines? Did it go well? Are they having any trouble? How is it going? Maybe we can start again from Jewel.
Thanks, Nate, for the question. So in Argentina, the vaccine used is AstraZeneca vaccine. So Argentina, they had an agreement last November, so 2020, with AstraZeneca to receive around 22 million, 22 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. But there are some obstacles in the distribution the vaccine to the public, as there is not enough, so not enough amount for all. But so the vaccine for shortages in Latin America raises the threat to the region's fragile economy, as I mentioned before, as lockdowns tighten amid a dangerous wave of infection and rising lockdown these lockdown tools. So there was also a delay in distribution. Actually, in Argentina, delays in US and European production of vaccines. It's arriving in the region more broadly, and it have pushed Argentina to approach producers from Russia and China. So they think, oh, okay, when the production is still in delay, they was thinking about to make an agreement with Russia and China. So that's the form of diplomacy I think that built in Argentina. But the latest news said that at least 62.8% of the Argentinian population, it has been they are already been vaccinated. So it's being so it's now it's well in Argentina.
I see. All right, that's very cool. We can really see how diplomacy has actually helped Argentina there, which is really cool as well. And there's an interesting thing about China that I hope we'll get to connect this later on. I'll get back to it. Zahran, how about you? How did your country do during the distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine?
Okay, so uh, as I mentioned before, that Peru has the second worst of the pandemic, right? The COVID-19 virus. So, which mean Peru has the hardest hit of the pandemic virus. So, and it is the second, and also the second position than other countries that I mentioned before. So that's why UNICEF is working to distribute the vaccine to Peru, and they has facilitated more than it's around 11,000 pieces of the equipment to distribute the vaccine. So they need the UNICEF need 11,000 pieces for Peru. Sorry, for making vaccine to give to the Peru people. So yeah, the So which means like vaccine is like uh, Peru's hero, like that. I think, but also, oh, sorry, not just the vaccine, also the UNICEF that distributed the vaccine to Peru. So UNICEF is a hero for Peru. What a great work. I think that's all.
It is. It truly is. And I think through that we can really see how diplomacy, really helps when you're in need. If you keep good relations with other nations, then you're bound to get help with through supranational organizations or from other countries as well, which is really good. That's really good. Hussein, how about you, bud? How's your country doing with the vaccine distribution and everything else?
28 1 million people against the coronavirus was always going to be a challenge given low levels of trust and the out nature of the country public institutions, bringing visibility to Venezuela's vaccinated. The vehicle has been a pitched battle between the countries democratically many. I think like elected political opposition, which demands a credible and efficacious vaccination campaigns, and the rallying regime, which has suppressed and obfuscated information on the pandemic, lacking vaccine protection, Venezuelans remain as vulnerable to COVID-19 infection, disease, and mortality as they were in the pre-vaccines era. But with far more dangerous COVID-19 variants currently circulating, Venezuela remains reliant on enforcement of community-level population protection measures there. Uh, and due to the size of the informal sector and the essential need for survival in economy that has plummeted by nearly 80% in the last decade, and a minimum wage that barely escapes two $2 per month.
All right, I see. Thank you for that, Hussein. I feel like in Hussein's country, it really can be seen how they're having internal struggle, within their own country. So it is hard for them to actually also try to balance all of these things. And we can hopefully hope for the best and pray for the best for that country as well. So they may do well. Uh, I'd like to also actually point out for Chile itself, Chile's vaccine distribution has been quite amazing. As you guys know, Chile has a very unique geographical form. We're a very long, not horizontal, sorry, vertical country that is going on the left side of the South American region. And we actually have names for these zones. We actually have 5 zones. First of all is the far north, that is tip of that geography, and then near north, which is the second one, then central Chile, which is mostly where the residents reside, south, and then the far south. So we have 5 regions, and most of the population of Chile are actually around in far north, near north, central Chile, and a little bit in the south as well. Whereas the far south, we have data on that region as well, but there's not that many people. There are like the hard parts of Chile that is hard to reach. However, with that in mind, we have a population of 19.1 million people, and 15.9 of which has been fully vaccinated. We are very proud and very happy to say we have 83% of fully vaccinated people. 83.4% of our population has been fully vaccinated, which does make our country one of the countries that has actually achieved herd immunity. And this is amazing because of our territorial knowledge and coordination. So we actually have this organization and this institute called the National System for the Coordination of Territorial Information, or in Chile, we call them SNIT. They are a organization and institute that actually keeps track of data in the regions. So they're a very good help through the pandemic because they have made this website that is open to anyone, where you can see the data of people who have been infected in which regions, how many people has been hospitalized, how many people has been healed, and they are real-time data. So this requires coordination not only from this very institute, but from people around Chile as well to keep updated. Oh, these are the amount of people who has been infected. These are the amount of people who has been healed. This is all then sent into this one website. And it's amazing because it is accessible to anyone. Information is transparent. The president of Chile and the people of Chile have the exact same information. So thus the transparency is amazing. And with this territorial knowledge, it was so much easier for the government to actually set up vaccination camps and vaccination hubs all throughout the zones of Chile, which then makes it much more easier for people as well to see through this website, oh, this is the nearest hub for vaccination, let me go there. And not only that, but there was also coordination with pharmacies in throughout Chile as well that was very helpful in distributing the vaccines. So we can really see how the widespread and transparency of information is very crucial, and it is what helped actually Chile to actually have this sort of very fast and widespread of vaccine distribution. Not to say like in Indonesia, for example, yes, we do have a very widespread data, but at the same time, it is split up into many sorts of hubs. Like there are some websites, but there are also Instagram accounts that keeps up with these things, which is amazing. It is very good as well. However, in a sense, it does create some sort of ambiguity and like vagueness. So people don't really know which one is the right data. People don't really know which one to trust. But with Chile itself, it only has one source and it's the most accurate one as well. Not only does their pair diplomacy is actually strong with their territorial knowledge, but they've actually also attained some kind of diplomacy with China, with other countries and many countries as well. So with China, they've acquired very many Sinovac vaccines. That is the most. That is most of what the vaccines are in Chile, and this is all thanks to their vaccine diplomacy with China itself. And I feel like China has had some sort of sense of responsibility since well, coronavirus came from them, which is it's not their fault. It's humans' fault, but they feel some sort of responsible in the international relations world. So they're having as much vaccine diplomacy as they can, and we appreciate them for that. Tono, how about you, buddy? How is Brazil doing during all of this? Can you give us an explanation?
All right. So as we know that Brazil has become the second country in the world in terms of absolute deaths due to COVID-19, only behind the US as the first country in the world in terms of absolute deaths. And Brazil has become the eighth in terms of per capita deaths in the world. So by the end of September 2021, Brazil has reached more than 590,000 confirmed COVID-19 deaths and more than 21 million daily active cases after the US and India. While deaths and cases are now well become the peak registered in April 2021. Brazil still accounts for 16% of all recorded COVID-19 related deaths worldwide since the March 2021. And the newest and more contagious Delta variant is already spreading in the Brazil, which raises concerns about a possible new wave of infections like the one experienced in March until May 2021, when 20 out of 27 states in Brazil faced over 90% of ICU bed occupancy rate and acute shortage of critical supplies such as oxygen and sedatives. So in Brazil, vaccination distribution has accelerated recently, with almost 70% of the population having received its first dose by the end of September 2021, although it's still just 40% are fully vaccinated in Brazil. Brazil's vaccination campaign began with the use of the CoronaVac vaccine developed by the Chinese pharmaceutical company Sinovac, which was later joined by the AstraZeneca and recently by the vaccine from US laboratory Pfizer. The Brazil government, they have contracted more than 1,600 million doses to be delivered through the end of the year of 2021, according to the ministry data of the Brazil. And data vaccination of the general population has been authorized in descending order of age for people under 60 years old. Once the immunization of the most vulnerable priority groups and education workers has been completed in Brazil. That's the information that I got according to
Right.
about
Nice.
Brazil.
Right. Thank you very much for that, Tono. All right, so we can really see how vaccine diplomacies can actually help each of our countries actually progress during this time because this distribution of the vaccines are very important. I'm really glad to see that vaccine diplomacy is helping each of us, and for some countries, para diplomacy as well within our own countries, which is amazing. Right, so continuing to our third question, and also further deepening into the context of diplomacy as well, I would also like to know, how does your country plan to recover from the effects of COVID-19? Maybe you can say economically or through political or through social issues, and also if there is any actions related to any kind of diplomacy at all, I would love to hear it. Maybe you can start again from Jewel, if you would mind.
Okay, thank you, Nick. So, as I said earlier, the Argentina government has planned to open up more job opportunities so that its people can work again, right? Due to the economic crisis there. Indeed, there are also several countries that helps in the process of handling COVID cases in Argentina. One of them is Indonesia. So on the 75th anniversary of Indonesian independence, so Indonesia held a program called Indonesia Solidaria. So as a form of concern for the people of Argentina. So through this program, the Indonesian embassy in Buenos Aires, they conveyed assistance for sanitation equipment and basic foods to the provincial government of Buenos Aires. So this is also what I see a form of diplomacy built by Indonesia and Argentina. So yeah, that's all. Thanks.
All right, thank you for that, Joel. Continuing to Zahran, how does your country plan to recover?
So, in my that I will answer is about the social issue. So, so that Peru were held by the U.S. embassy for the for the social distance, is such as the limitation of hotel and tourists, restaurant meetings. Yeah, some kind of, well, people are meeting in the restaurant, something like that, and others like in the, maybe in the club. If Peru have a nightclub, something like that, or maybe, yeah, and many kind of social distancing. So that's what Peru's plan to recover from the pandemic. So uh, so so that Peru can be decrease the COVID-19 virus. So they have to like follow the instruction of the social distance, like limiting of the social meetings, something like that. I think that's all.
All right, thank you. And that's completely understandable since countries that has internal projections such as these, they have to focus on more on like how to help their own selves first rather than focusing on economies and politicals. They rather have a more stable society first, which is very actually understandable. Hussein, how about you? How's your country doing?
Okay, thank you, Nay. Despite these barriers, Venezuelans are active participant in the Peruvian economy in 2018 alone. They contributed 1.3 percentage point of annual GDP growth. According to the World Bank, they had a positive fiscal impact of 365 US dollar This is because Venezuelans consume goods and service, pay taxes, start and invest in businesses, provide skills that complement those of Peruvians, contribute to the productivity of Peruvians businesses, and more. Increased economic inclusion would allow Venezuelans to obtain jobs that match their qualifications, increase their levels of formalization in higher incomes, and therefore improve their self alliance in I think like they would look skills gaps in the Peruvian economy, reduce their concentration like does job competition in the informal labor market, contribute to the Persian system, provide greater fiscal revenue for Peru, increase productivity of businesses, and boost the economy overall. I think just like this.
All right, thank you. That's really good for that country as well. That's very good. All right, continuing to Tono, how's your country?
So Brazil began the process of purchasing and developing vaccines against COVID-19 in the first half of 2020. On the one hand, based on the interpretation that COVID-19 was not a relevant threat, the federal government reinforced a lack of interest in obtaining the shots, ignoring the successive emails from Pfizer, for example, about sales negotiations. Then the Minister of Health from the Brazil, Eduardo Pazuello, stated that he did not understand why the country was in such a hurry and anguish for vaccines, fearful that Sao Paulo Governor Joe Doria would employ the positive media coverage to take higher flights in 2022 presidential elections. The Bolsonaro government ended up the accelerating partnership to obtain other vaccines, with agreements weeks later with the company AstraZeneca. In the case of the Northeast Consortium, governors in Brazil managed to negotiate directly with Chinese companies to obtain ventilators and other hospital supplies. So nowadays, today, Brazil currently applies 3 different vaccines, which is Comirnaty, Pfizer, CoronaVac, and COVID Shield by the AstraZeneca.
All right. Thank you for that, Don. That's really cool. And I feel like Brazil's economy is also actually going well with how trade is in Brazil. So I feel like in their economic side, they're actually also doing very well. But that's really good to hear. In Chile's case, we've actually planned to create 100,000 new jobs for the economy, just like Argentina itself, because we've lost so many unemployed people. So we're trying to create 100,000 new jobs by 2020, the end of 2021 and early 2022 as well. Actually, the amount of workers in the area of construction has increased by 24% for this year compared to 2020, which is amazing. And in terms of how we're going to cash up demand and everything, we're trying to do it through cash stimulus, like how Indonesia is doing through BLT. So by then we'll actually have increased demand, and so the economy will still keep on going. That's how we're doing it in the economic side. In the political and social side, the election for the new president will still be going on, which is great to hear, so that the administration of President Sebastian will end soon. And we're hoping that the new leader will actually have a more positive effect on the people of Chile. And their geographical intelligence is actually very crucial for this as well, just like how they did through vaccinations as well. So I guess Chile will be going through a very bright future for the next 2 and 5 years, hopefully. And I hope for the best for all of our countries as well during this. And thank you guys so much. I guess that's all the time that we have for today, sadly. I would like to thank all of you so much for representing each of your countries, for explaining how your country will go. And to everyone who's watching right now, we really do hope that you learn a thing or two from this. You learn a thing or two or for more about the countries in the South American region. And we hope that you learn more about diplomacy as well and how they actually can help countries through times of crisis such as this. We thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, please comment down below regarding this video and the topic that we talked about here today. And to Tono, Hussein, Fahran, and also Julio, thank you again. and we hope to see you next week with a new topic. Thank you guys. Bye everyone.
Bye, guys.
Muchas gracias, Herman.